Alright guys, Israel back again with Heavy Metal Reptiles. Today we're going to talk about knowing your reptiles. We're going to cover this because you guys, if you've watched previous videos, I am constantly saying you have to know your animal, you have to know your reptile. And I've never really went and explained kind of how you get to know and things to look for and stuff. So we're going to go over that today, and just do it. You licking your lips too. She's like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to go over just how to get to know your reptile and the importance of it and things like that, just to kind of help you guys as you're starting to learn your reptile and understand them. It's going to make you as a keeper a lot better, and it's going to make your animal's quality of life a lot better. So, we'll go ahead and jump into the first section. Okay, so we're going to go over the importance of knowing your reptile. Dude, do not take a leap of faith. Do you want my shirt? You're still on my shirt. Okay. Sorry, guys. So we're going to go over the importance of knowing your reptile. And the importance comes into play as far as just handling. You guys might notice that I don't have all the animals in the videos as much as others. Partially is because like Firestorm. Firestorm's a very shy snake. We learned that from, spending times and countless hours with him. He does good when it's just me, the light and stuff. He's a shy guy. It's fine. You just got to know that about your animal because it can cause stress and things, getting them out and putting them in uncomfortable situations. Knowing the animals that you can take out and show to friends and family, and knowing how long you can have an animal out, what animals are social, which ones aren't, which ones which ones get along, I should say, as far as in your collection, so you don't have two out that don't get along. Things like that. So there's a big importance behind knowing your animal, and it comes with, if you have to do a treatment, or say you have to soak your animal, or one has stuck shed and you're massaging the animal with water and stuff, and working it with them, and there's a lot of things that you have to look for and be ready for in those situations, and know what to look for. With respiratory infections, there's things you have to do along with that, and you have to be able to read your animal and have that good relationship with them. So just a quick rundown on why it's so important to know your animal and have a relationship with them. We'll move to the next section. So, like with a lot of my videos, this is going to be strictly opinion based, and the how to learn your animal is something I want to cover, and it's something that my wife hates when I have to do it, because I just kind of go sit in my reptile room and I watch my reptiles. At night when the snakes come out, like the ball pythons obviously zoom, the king snake is always out, the dude's always zooming around, play on words, and doing his thing, and I take time to watch and see his body movement and what he's doing while he's comfortable in his enclosure, and then I move him out and handle him. If you guys watch the video when I got bit by Zoom, that we didn't edit any of that out, you guys watching it probably didn't see it or get it, because he's kind of weird about how he sets up to bite. If you can put in a video, if that's possible to play a video like up in the corner somewhere, play the clip of when he bit me. I was talking to my wife, letting her know what I want right there. Anyways, I remember when he bit me, I had him in this hand and his tail was over here, and I actually felt the tail on my arm over here tighten up, and he come up and it kind of came to the side of my hand. Alrighty then. He come to the side of my hand and he does this thing where he stiffens up his head area along with tightening his tail when he's on me right before he bites me. I think in the video I even said, don't bite me right before he bit me. I try to get out of the way. I had someone actually call me out on Instagram saying that I was afraid to get bit by my animals. Isn't true. If you know anything about reptiles, you should know your snake doesn't. I mean, they stress out when they eat. When they eat, they get stressed. When they bite something that's bigger than them, it stresses them out. So I try not to get bit specifically for the animal. Zoom doesn't hurt when he bites. I mean, his teeth are so small. It's like a pinch, and it's more the shock of getting bit with him. But that's kind of how you learn, though, is between handling and watching them in their enclosures. You know, and through that, and watching them eat too is a big way of taking stuff from, you know, like you go to get your snake out and they might be in a hunting mood, but you wouldn't know that unless you watched your snake eat and absorb the information he was showing you before he ate. So just kind of how I learned my animals, and I continue to learn my animals, like Iris here. And something you guys could probably take to your collection and start to learn your guys' a little bit better. That way you know you aren't stressing your animals out or putting them in any type of stressful situations. So we're going to move on to the handling section. So this section's on handling. And handling is a very important part of keeping your reptiles and knowing your reptile. Because when you get your animal out, of course you want to have a good experience with them. You don't want to get bit, and you don't want to stress your animal out too much. So knowing how they are when they're handled usually is done good with one-on-one when you're learning the handleability of an animal. To know what they're like when it's just you and it in a room and hanging out. It's going to be a lot more comfortable if there's less big things around, pretty much. So with that being said, Iris here that we got out a little earlier, we had some company, and I got him out, and he just wasn't acting himself. He's usually really alive, kind of like he is right now, moving around, jumping, and I got him out and he went straight up to my shoulder. At that point I knew he was uncomfortable with the situation he was in, so I put him back in his cage. I had him out for a few minutes after, just because I kind of want him to get used to being out like that, but it's not something that just happens. You've got to work with them and put them in those situations for small amounts of time. I'm just going to let you do it, dude. For small amounts of time, and let them become acquainted to the situation, I want to say, to where they're more comfortable. So with Zoom, if you guys watch the video where Zoom bit me, I knew before Zoom bit me that he was going to bite me, or at least try to bite me. And it's stressful for an animal or a snake to bite anything bigger than it, pretty much. When they eat, it causes stress. We know this. So I personally don't like to get bit by them. So with Zoom, and if we can get a video put up, we'll put a video up of when he actually bit me. I had his head in this hand and his tail in this hand, and his tail wrapped around this arm, and I felt him tighten here, and I had my hand like this, and his head was along here, and he does this thing where he stiffens his whole body right before he bites, and then he turns to bite you. In the video, if you watch it, I even said, don't bite me, right before he bit me, and tried to move and still got bit. Wasn't a bad bite. King snakes aren't a nasty bite at all, but I knew before he did it that he was going to. We finished out that video, and all was good. King snakes are just pretty nippy. He didn't seem to actually be in a bad mood that day, or he didn't seem to be stressing out, but through handling and getting to know that animal, I was able to kind of predict that he was going to bite me. Like today, me and him I got him out, and he was a fighting guy today. But I knew from the time I opened the cage that he was going to be that way because of the way he was acting inside the cage, which is where sitting and just watching him comes into play. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next section here, which is about good relationships with your animals. Okay, so a good relationship with your animal is just simply holding your animal, feeding your animal, getting in that enclosure and moving his stuff around, doing necessary upkeep. These are smart animals. Snakes are smart. Lizards especially are very smart. And the bigger lizards are like tegus and monitors and stuff. They're extremely smart. They can actually, a lot of animals can target train. Snakes and lizards and things can target train to where you can train them to know when it's time to eat. My snakes personally know their feeding day. You get them out on a Friday or Saturday usually, unless you feed them Friday, then Saturday you shouldn't be handling them, but if you do, they're good because they know they already ate. But Fridays, you might as well be ready for a fight, because it's usually Friday or Saturday they get fed. But a good relationship is a great place to start when learning your animal. It's just simply getting in there, taking care of their enclosure. When you're in their enclosure, knowing your snake is important there, or your reptile, to know if they're going to be aggressive while you're in their enclosure. If they're not aggressive while you're in there in the enclosure, I personally will go in and do things in, like, say, Baphomet's enclosure. Now, Baphomet has struck at me before while working in his enclosure, but I'll get in there sometimes and be doing something and just reach over and pet him, let him know I'm not trying to hurt him, and continue doing what I'm doing. But it's good. A good relationship is huge with knowing your animal. And that way, like this guy, he knows I'm not going to hurt him. We're just hanging out and being buddies. He's not afraid to jump around. He's not afraid to come up my arm. He's not afraid to hang out on my shoulder. He's just not scared of me. Now, there's situations you can put him in that might make him a little more timid or docile, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have a good relationship. It just means it's the situation. That's why I say it's good to establish your relationship with your animals alone. That way, you guys can build that relationship up together before introducing them to multiple people or multiple things going on while having them out. But yeah, that was kind of what I had for that section. So the last one we're going to talk about is schedule. Okay, so it is very important to have a schedule with your reptiles. And by schedule, I don't mean so I can only get my animal out one day a week for this long. No, but it is good to have a schedule as far as when you're going to feed them and when you are going to get them out and work with them. I mean, I would set a day. I kind of have rough set days and times for my animals. With work, it's kind of hard to stay with that schedule, but they still know a rough schedule. And I've just noticed that it's better for the relationship with the animal. They know when you're getting them out. Obviously don't make the same day that you're getting them out and then the next day feeding day. For me, I try to do at least 1 to 2 animals a day. Firestorm and Black Widow, they're side by side, so they usually are like a Monday, and then I kind of go on from there with the snakes. With your lizards, it doesn't really matter when they eat, except for monitors and bigger ones like that. I would definitely try and separate food from handling as much as possible with those guys. But for this crusty, they aren't going to bite you. They don't eat meat. They eat insects and what?
Insects are meat.
Okay, they eat insects. Or I don't know if insects are meat. They're more like little fat. Just a bunch of fat. They eat meat. They just don't eat humans, okay? How about that? They don't eat rats. They don't eat mice. They eat insects. This guy is not gonna attack me because it's time for him to eat, is my point here. I mean, but it's good to have him on a schedule. It's good to know on Monday at 5:30 he's going to come out for a half hour and he is going to pick up on that and actually maybe not necessarily look forward to it, but know it's coming. And it might take I believe at least, it takes stress off the animal because they know it's coming. Like I said, it doesn't mean you can only get your animal out once a week for this long. It just means that it's good to have that schedule. It's good to have that feeding schedule. It's good to have a soaking schedule. It's good to have a schedule for everything, in my opinion. Now with soaking, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a schedule for soaking. I don't pull them out on this day or every other week or whatever for a soak. I kind of do as needed. But if you're someone that only got one reptile, it's probably not a bad idea to have a schedule for, soaking your reptile that day or every other week on this day. Just like I said, it's something that they get in the routine of and they understand it. So, and it's a simple thing to understand, so I'm positive they understand it. And it's going to take a little of the stress off of the animal. So, with that being said, let's go to the outro. Alright guys, so again, I hope you guys could take something from this video. Like I've talked about before, a lot of things come from opinion and preference to my keepings that some people might not agree with. And if that's the case, fine, don't agree with me, I don't care. If you can take something from this and you think it might work for you, please do adopt it, try it out. I encourage you guys to always check other sources and see if there's other ways of keeping that you would prefer over mine. Not going to hurt my feelings none. Just leave me a like and I'll totally forgive you guys. And subscribe, because you went to someone else for information. Now you feel bad, so you must subscribe to me. But yeah, I hope you guys do take something from these videos and learn a thing or two. Like I said, this might not be what works for other people, and it might not be what you necessarily want to do. I caught him. But it's what works for me. Anyways, the normal kind of rundown. I'm still trying to do the rehoming thing and help people out as much as I can. I'm trying to talk with people and get to know people just on a personal level and kind of learn about other people's collections and things. Feel free to reach out to me if you need help. Links for all the social media is in the description. Heavy metal reptiles on everything. And rock on, my friends. I'll see you guys in the next one.